Welcome to Highly Sensitive, Happily Married, the podcast that teaches you to not only have an easier marriage as a sensitive woman, but to have one that feels more amazing by the day. Where you'll hear relatable stories, love advice that works, and coaching on how to have a marriage where feeling upset and disconnected is a thing of the past, and where instead a sense of loving connection and even fun and lightness is the norm. I'm Hannah Brooks, highly sensitive person, love expert, and marriage coach, and I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. Well, hello there, new friends and old friends. Welcome to this special episode. If you're a highly sensitive woman and you're new to this podcast, I'm so glad you found this space, and this is really a great episode to begin your journey with me. And if you're a seasoned listener, I'm also glad you're here, of course. This episode will serve you well too. With over 211 episodes of this podcast, I realize that it can feel overwhelming to know where to start, especially as an HSP who can tend towards feeling overwhelmed already. So I decided to create this guided pathway for you. It's really a curated order of episodes that are going to help you feel calmer and more secure and more hopeful in your relationship and give you the beginning concepts you need to start feeling real shifts in your marriage right away. I've also created a written guide on my website so that you can follow along, or so you can actually just have a place to turn to so that you don't have to keep track of these episodes in your head. So you're going to find the link for that in the show notes or the description of this podcast. So definitely feel free to go check that out. So if you have just found this podcast and it's a new thing for you, I definitely recommend listening to these episodes in the order I'm suggesting, because the episodes really do build on each other. But feel free to start with whatever resonates with you most, of course. And if you've been listening for years or months, this is actually a really beautiful opportunity to go back and explore the episodes in this series that speak most directly to what you're experiencing right now. You can listen to the titles and choose the one that feels like it was kind of written for you, or you can go through them in the order I'm suggesting as a potent refresher of the essentials. It's always a good idea to review core teachings for lasting change. So, are you ready for your pathway to a deeply loving marriage as an HSP? Let's get going. Remember, if you prefer to just see this in written form, head to the description of this podcast episode to get the direct link to that written version on my website. So I've divided this into two phases of listening. The first phase is just getting started, and it's really about orientation and hope for your marriage. These episodes are going to help you feel seen and understood and hopeful, and they're going to introduce the philosophy behind all of this work and why sensitivity, yes, your sensitivity that you might have thought of as a curse all along in your life, is actually a strength in love. And so the first episode in this phase is the Sensitive Love Revolution, which is episode 210. In this episode, you're going to learn why sensitive people are uniquely wired for deep, meaningful relationships, and how this work that I guide you through can really transform not just your marriage, but your whole experience of love, and also, honestly, the world around you. Because sensitivity is that powerful when you know how to work with it well. The second episode in the pathway is episode 155, the Emerging New Paradigm of Marriage. In this episode, you're going to discover a healthier, more collaborative vision of marriage that moves beyond blame and criticism and power struggles into true life partnership. The kind that the hundreds of highly sensitive women that I've worked with told me they really long for. The third episode on this pathway is episode 169. It is called Being Who You Want to Be in Your Relationship Revisited. In this episode, you're going to shift from reacting in ways you regret to becoming the partner you want to be, even in difficult moments in your relationship. The next episode in the pathway is the Acceptance Switch, Humanity Over Perfection, and that's episode number 205. In this one, you're going to let go of perfectionism and learn how acceptance creates more connection and safety and real warmth in your marriage. So that's that first sort of foundational phase. And then we'll move into phase 2 on this pathway, where you're going to be building emotional and nervous system foundations. So these episodes are going to help you understand how your mind and your nervous system and your emotional patterns shape your experience of love and your marriage specifically. You'll learn about how to regulate yourself, build inner safety, and stop outsourcing your emotional state to your partner. And as you move through these episodes, you're going to start to feel calmer and clearer and more secure from the inside out, and start to build the foundation for the kind of marriage you deeply want. So the first episode in this phase is episode 206, which is called Why Traditional Marriage Advice Often Fails Highly Sensitive People. And by listening to this episode, you're going to start understanding why typical relationship advice doesn't work that well for many sensitive people, and how a nervous system lens, i.e. nervous system awareness, changes everything for the better. Okay, so the next episode in the pathway, the 6th episode I'm recommending, is called Can You Become Less Sensitive? This is episode 73, and it's about reframing sensitivity as a strength. Again, this is so important, and learning how to work with your wiring rather than against it. And we go into feelings here, because as HSPs, we tend to feel deeply, and this can be a beautiful thing, but it can also be a challenge. So this is a really important episode. The 7th one in the pathway is called Emotional Delegation 101, and this is episode 192. And again, this one is so important. You're going to learn in this episode how outsourcing or delegating your emotional state to your partner creates pressure and disconnection, and how it's very normal to do this. Most of us do this. And of course, what to do instead. So have a listen to that one for sure. The next episode on this pathway is also about emotions and feelings. Again, this is so important. It's called Where Your Feelings Really Come From. This is episode 193. And in it, you're going to gain a lot of clarity about your emotional experience. And of course, where your feelings actually come from, so that you can begin to have more sway over how you feel. And so you can respond with more wisdom and show up how you want to in your relationship. The next, the 9th step in this pathway is how to work with your 2 brains for more love revisited. This is episode 120. Again, this is an essential episode to learn how your thinking brain and your emotional brain interact, and how to use both to create more calm and connection. Next, we come to insourcing validation. This is an early episode. It's episode 34, and it's where you're going to start to build inner security and self-worth, so your relationship feels steadier and less reactive, and so you can start feeling more validation and more valued in your marriage. The next step is caretaking your sensitive system for better love 2.0. This is episode 189. And it's really about practical ways to support your nervous system so you can have more capacity for connection and intimacy and resilience, and why this is so important for highly sensitive people. The next stop here on the pathway is, why do I have to be the one to work on our relationship? This is one of the most common questions I get from HSP women, and it's an important episode to help you transform the burden of quote unquote doing the work into empowered, grounded leadership from your end that really inspires your partner and strengthens the whole culture of your marriage. Heading into the final steps on the pathway, the next one is making self-responsibility in relationships fun. This is episode 103. In this one, you're going to learn how to take ownership of your part in the relationship in a way that feels empowering and playful and motivating. So you really can create the partnership you want without blame or overwork. And it can feel energizing and so rewarding to do so. And the last stop on this pathway, this essential episodes pathway, is episode 184. That's called Making a Habit of Love Without Conditions Revisited. This is where you're going to learn what unconditional love really means for sensitive women, which is not, by the way, self-sacrifice or people-pleasing or abandoning yourself. but it's actually grounded emotional leadership that creates more safety and steadiness and connection and mutual warmth of heart in your marriage. So give that a listen as well. In fact, give all of those a listen. And if any of them resonate with you, it would mean so much to me if you would subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. It warms my heart to hear from you in that way. But whether or not you choose to leave a review and you start to feel that gentle inner nudge that you want more than just insight, that you're ready for deeper, structured, and deeply personalized support, you can also learn more about my program, Foundations of Emotional Well-Being for HSPs, the root of a safer heart and marriage, which is where we take everything we talk about on this podcast and begin actually applying it to your real life and relationship, starting at the most foundational level. Because just like we can't have a cozy home without a foundation, we also can't have a safe, deeply loving marriage without a strong foundation. So Foundations of Emotional Well-Being for HSPs, or as I fondly call it, FEW HSP, is not traditional relationship coaching. It's the emotional and nervous system groundwork that makes everything else possible, both in your marriage and in your life. In it, you're going to learn to regulate your nervous system so you can feel calmer and less reactive. You're going to understand your emotions instead of being controlled by them. You're going to shift unhelpful thought patterns and develop self-compassion and emotional resilience and build self-worth that isn't dependent on your partner. That's huge. And you're going to learn to receive love and care and support more easily and create inner stability so that your relationship feels less fragile and more secure. And you'll ultimately experience more clarity and peace and groundedness in everyday life with yourself and your partner. So if you want to learn more about that, I'm going to put the direct link to that foundational program in the show notes. I'm also going to put the link, once again, as a reminder, to the written version of this essential podcast episodes pathway in the description of this podcast, the show notes. You can go over there and actually have access to the written version of this pathway, because that might actually be the best way to follow this pathway. So thank you so much for being here, for being part of this amazing community of highly sensitive women who are making their marriages more loving, more connected, and more safe and supportive. I'm so glad that you've found this podcast, and I really can't wait for you to step into more of that, more security, more connection, and more grounded, tender, and even passionate love in your marriage. Be oh so well, my friends.